Welcome back to the CooCast. My name is Nick. Today we are going over Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 6, the finale. The Iron Throne is the name of this episode, and today I'm joined by our guest, Grant Baker. How you doing, Grant?
I'm doing great, Nick. Thank you very much.
Grant is a long-time listener, but, you know, we've known each other for a very, very long time, and also you are a very avid Game of Thrones TV show fan. Are you a fan of the books as well?
I have never read a Game of Thrones book. And I should probably disclose that I've come to Game of Thrones, the TV show, in a kind of irregular way.
Explain that for me.
I haven't watched all of the previous seasons in the way that you would normally watch them. I've cheated and I've watched versions of it on YouTube. So I'm probably missing large chunks of stuff. So I found this site which had some guy's done an edit, or some editor has done an edit of all of the different characters' stories. So you can watch Daenerys' story all the way through, or you can watch Jon Snow's story, or Sansa's story, or, you know, all the major characters. Okay. And you know, even Sir Davos, the Onion Knight, and
yes,
and Ser Jorah. So I've watched all of their things all the way through, but occasionally I find characters which I've missed, and then have to go searching because they have important things, like only about what was it? I think I was about 2 episodes into this season, and I was realizing that Bran's a bit more important than I thought he was. So yes, there you go.
Bran doesn't really do much. He kind of just falls out a window at the first couple episodes, and then
that's what I thought.
Yeah, he's kind of a vegetable for a lot of there's a whole season where he's actually not in one of the seasons. He disappears for a whole season, so we don't actually know what happens to him.
Yeah, I was watching through his seasons and going, why is he not in season? I can't remember whether it was 4 or 5. He's just not there. Is it missing? It's like one of those annoying YouTube things where like there's one thing missing out of the playlist. Yeah, but no, he's just not there.
So is this the first full season that you've watched, or have you watched previous seasons to this?
Yes, this is the first full season that I've watched.
Interesting. Okay, so you're not aware of any really of some of the fan. Are you all kind of aware? You're obviously aware of all the fan backlash regarding, you know, people saying that the earlier seasons were much better than these next seasons. Although I guess it's not hard to kind of see where the holes in the story are in these later seasons, but regardless of whether you enjoyed the previous seasons or not. But how are you feeling about this season particularly?
It's okay. So it's a bit hard because obviously I've not watched the other seasons in the way that the editors have put them together in each episode. So I've liked that. I mean, I've been looking forward to the season, having watched all that stuff on YouTube. So it was good to be watching it in an episode, and I enjoyed the way it started off with this sort of slow, loving look of all the characters meeting up, and you know, they've got this epic thing that's going to be happening. But it really took its time getting there, and I was enjoying that.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of backlash in terms of the quality of the writing this season, obviously, because it is rushed. I mean, I will admit, even the previous season, which was the one that I criticized the most, was season 7. I had to some degree, have to put your expectations down for where the writing was, I think, up to that point, because they were just trying to cram so much story in such a short amount of time. And without the benefit of having, you know, 20 years to essentially write the stories that George R. R. Martin has written the first few books, there's just never going to be that level of intricacy or, you know, balance that you would get in the storytelling. So, and especially from a TV point of view, it's going to be hard.
Did you mention in a previous episode of the podcast that, you know, they just didn't have the time for that? If you've got 1 year to write a season, then there's no way that you can put the amount of polish that the original author put on his books.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's the thing that always pisses me off, is that people just got looking at the writers as being the bad guys in this situation. It's like, well, the writers really are just getting hired to do what they're getting told to do. These guys are good writers. I get frustrated because people just think that good writers are just, like these guys who get in the HBO writing room and just write this stuff are bad writers. They're not bad writers. They're just getting told what to do. And they're doing the best they can with, people breathing down their necks and telling them to meet deadlines and stuff. Because, they've got to get these lines out so they can get the actors to go start rehearsing and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, there's a lot of pressure here. And so it gets a bit frustrating. I do get where the general audience is coming from, because when you do step back and you do remove yourself from the production process, when you're just watching the final product, I mean, essentially, when you sit down to eat a cake, you're not thinking about all the ingredients that go into it. You're just thinking, does the cake taste good? And from that point of view, I do understand.
Sugar. Yes.
So, but yeah, so, all right. So let me just ask you real quick, how did you feel that everything wrapped up? Did you think it was a good way to end? How did you feel about this episode?
So this is the episode where it had to land. And to be honest, I actually loved it. Yeah? I really did. Yep. Yeah. I can't think of a moment where I really got yanked out of the episode and was going, oh, come on, that's not that's not going to work or something. I think possibly, I think the thing which possibly could have happened a little bit quickly or got glossed over was, are we going straight into spoiler territory here?
If people are listening to this, they're spoiled. I don't even actually know why you'd be listening to this if you haven't seen the episode. Like, if people don't, I don't, honestly, I'm not going to give you a warning, because you're an idiot if you're listening to this thinking that there are no spoilers for this episode. Like, every previous episode I reviewed this thing, it's all been spoilers. So yeah. It is your responsibility now as a listener to understand what you're listening to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So okay. So the point where John becomes a prisoner, we're jumping right into the middle of the episode there. In my mind, he would be very lucky to survive that. And of course, they didn't show it. So, but yeah. Yes. So,
yeah, I have a few questions. Obviously, I came up with questions. That was obviously one of them. Is like,
what did the Dothraki think about that? We don't know.
They would not. The Grey Worm himself would not have been forgiving of that situation. He would have just been like, you know what, this dude doesn't deserve to live. Let alone the fact that Drogon just let him go, which was an interesting thing as well.
If he's the dragon.
Yeah, well, we don't know. It's not established, and it's all very much. So, okay, so I do have a couple of storytelling gripes with this episode, and this is maybe something that you would probably see as, this is something I'm just telling you from a fan's point of view. I mean, some from the fans, should I say. The biggest problem I had with this episode actually was the fact that we had this whole lead up to Jon being a Targaryen and / Stark.
Yep.
And that was supposed to play into significance of him able to claim the throne. But in reality, that actually plays little or nothing to do with the final story, in the sense that he doesn't make a claim for the throne. And it doesn't sort of give him any special reason for us to kind of... You could have taken that whole story out, is what I'm trying to say. That whole Lyanna Stark and Aegon Targaryen story out of the mix. And it would have still been the same story. Like, his significance of his birth means nothing at this point.
I don't know. It kind of... I mean, it added some drama. I think it added to the conflict that he had. It gave Dany reason to go nuts.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he could have just... We could have easily taken out that...
Another reason.
Yeah. We could have taken out the reason, like, for example, he could have easily not been in love with Dany because she was turning into a monster. I mean, it didn't have to be that he was related. It didn't have to be that it was his aunt, you know. It
just
had to
he would have never got close enough to do what he did.
And to just put a point on last episode of this season, I just thought was kind of funny. This all could have been smoothed over if John just just went to bed with Danny just one time before, the night before, because she was in a fragile place. She lost her best friend. She lost one of her dragons. She's just like, can I just get a bit of John sugar? And he just goes, nah, sorry. I can't go to bed with my aunt. He could have saved everybody, but
I can't say that he's the most emotionally intelligent. Actually, he's probably not the most intelligent either.
He's progressively he's progressively getting a little bit dumber with each other. Like season 7, he wasn't the bright spark, but this season. He's been dumb as a post this season. It is amazing how many poor decisions he makes.
Did he do the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the end he did the right thing. I don't think there was any other way around it. He was kind of forced into a corner because he didn't take care of it sooner. I mean, how many more people got to die before you kind of realize, you know what, you got a crazy person on your hands. Like somebody's got to take her out before she gets super crazy, like super powerful.
Yeah.
What if she starts? I don't know. Like, it was the only window of opportunity I think he had to take, essentially. Or he had multiple opportunities to take this. He could have done it like back in a few previous episodes. He could have done it. I get that point of view though. Like, I think that's the thing that I understand what he was struggling with was the fact that he was trying to see the best in her. And wanting to have a chance. Yeah, and gave her every chance to turn it around, but obviously she just. Although it was pretty rough seeing her change. So
she went to full Monty on I'm right. No one else gets to decide.
Nope. She's just giving her best Hitler talk to everybody, standing on the top of those pillars.
Godwin alarm.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I don't know. I don't know any other way you could have read. I don't know any other way you could have read that scene. Yeah. I think they were obviously telegraphing that they were trying to make her be the next dictator. Obviously, the idealist who was.
Did they do that with her clothing too? She went from wearing white to wearing black.
Yeah. She, and unsullied looking very, very, Gestapo. I don't know if they could have telegraphed that any harder, really. I think that was very, very deliberate. Obviously that, and the crumbled city with the big banner of the dragon hanging over the side of the thing.
And the soldiers all out there in their nice, Nuremberg rally style arrangement. Yeah.
It was all there. I mean, did you actually, previous episode, did you find... were you expecting that turn from Danny? I guess they were I guess if you were only watching this season, they were telegraphing that pretty hard from the beginning of the season that she was going to turn bad. I thought. Look, anyway.
I didn't actually think too hard about how King's Landing was going to get taken.
No.
When it happened, I guess. I think I commented to you on your Facebook page about it. How overpowered and buffed was the dragon.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like the previous episode is one dragon gets taken out by by Euron so quickly by all these ballistas, and then suddenly
dragon seeking missiles.
Then suddenly. In the next episode, nobody can hit
a thing.
Nobody can hit this bloody dragon.
They've gone full stormtrooper.
Yeah, they've gone full stormtrooper. Like, that dragon is wearing some very, very heavy plot armor. So, but I'm not here to criticize. But yeah, I am a little bit. There's obviously things I can't obviously overlook. There's some of these things. Yeah. But that's the thing with the show. This is the thing. This is the tragedy, I guess, of the show. And I can understand. I'm not a person who wants to hate on stuff. I've been pretty clear about that. I do appreciate that a show like this does exist, and you look back in the history of television, there is nothing like this in any shape or form, even in movies, I would dare say. Like, Lord of the Rings probably comes close, but not on this scale, though, and not for this long. It's pretty remarkable that we're getting this level of entertainment on TV.
And I mean, Lord of the Rings was still a feature-length movie, so it had to move things along. Yeah. So, and I think what if you go right back to the start of the last episode, the episode that just played today, it took its time getting into it. I mean, it was the long walk through
Yeah.
the city turned to ashes, and I actually really loved that. It was
Yeah.
it took its time. You got to watch Tyrion just take it all in, and you could see that it was absolutely crushing him.
Yeah, yeah, we do obviously open up on that scene where he's walking through, and it's just there's no music. It's
Yeah.
just quiet. We see,
Actually, I did fall out of the the picture there slightly because when he was walking there, because I was just listening to the foley of the footsteps going through. That's my, obviously my bent doing sound
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff, but
Yeah.
just the crunch crunch as he's going through. And, wow, that's just
Yeah,
it was just that. It was awesome.
it's been sound has been on point this whole season. Even the music cues have been brilliant this season.
The cellos of doom.
Yes. For all those who don't know, Grant is a sound engineer. You do have you have a musical background too, don't you? You play some instruments.
Once upon a time, I've been known to.
Used to be in a band, right?
I used to worship lead in church back in New Zealand.
Right.
Before I came to the big time and had to specialize.
Right. Well, you could have been the next Flight of the Conchords, or
No. No, I'm not going to make any claims to fame on that.
I just watched that HBO special the other day. Like a new one, not like the one that was back from 2008, but this is like a new one that they did in London.
Oh yeah,
And they're still doing the same kind of New Zealand jokes where they bring out this dude who is the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra, and it's just one guy and a cello. That's it. They're good guys. They're good dudes.
it is.
All right, so yeah. So that opening scene actually was quite. It was good. Like this is what I have loved about this season, despite the plot problems I have with this whole season. But apart from that, I actually think that there are some really great moments and some real nice There's really some really nice direction to this whole episode, actually. And I did love the fact that we were walking through and we were seeing the remains of half dead bodies, and then we see that one guy running through. And he was he wasn't running, or he wasn't running, he was just walking. He was like all burned. All his clothes are burned off, basically.
Yeah.
And then we see John and Sir Davos, sort of just looking around going, yep, we made the wrong decision. So, it was nice seeing all the tension kind of build up. And obviously Danny's nowhere to be found, but the Grey Worm is going around executing prisoners of war, which at the request of Danny. And that scene where Tyrion goes and finds Cersei and Jaime in the rubble is this. That scene was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Especially since like the previous episode, which I forgot to mention actually was one of my favorite scenes in the previous episode, was when or the episode before that, where Jaime gets let go by Tyrion. It's the last goodbye he gets from Tyrion. And I love that scene so much. It was just a good sort of full stop on their relationship. And it was obviously a very heartwarming moment just before obviously they never see each other again.
Yeah.
And
considering some of the ways that characters that we love have abruptly died in previous parts of the show, I reckon this season we've got some really good goodbyes.
I think everybody. Well, depends who you ask, obviously. But
actually, if you wanted to rename this episode, apart from it's called the Iron Throne, but if you wanted to rename it, you'd call it the Long Goodbye.
The Long Goodbye,
The Long Goodbye. It's just like this long, loving goodbye. It just kept going and going, and yeah.
Or we could alternatively call it a really good episode, huh? I was thinking about that all day. Don't worry, guys. That was not that impromptu, and it wasn't that good. Professor X takes over the Iron Throne. All right, so we've got So we've got John and Davos obviously confronting Grey Worm about killing prisoners of war. We obviously see there's that conflict already there, which we kind of already knew, but it's obviously gone. Grey Worm's gone full crazy. Well, he's not gone full crazy. He's gone back to what he was. And what I think, obviously, there was obviously that romance between Missandei and probably what you didn't. I don't know. I suppose you would have seen that in your recap video, but obviously Missandei and Grey Worm were a thing. And there was a thing at the end. I can only assume I probably missed it. And I should have checked this. Was that at the end of the episode, Grey Worm says they're setting sail for somewhere called Null or Nalt. I forget what it was.
Isn't it Narth? Isn't that where Missandei's from?
That's what I was. What I was thinking was that where he was going to was where Missandei was from.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so I can only assume because they made it seem like we knew what that was or that was some sort of Easter egg. So I'm assuming that's what it was. But
yes, if we've got that wrong, tell us in the comments.
We definitely will We'll probably find out. My sister will definitely tell me. She didn't like this episode. She said she fell asleep.
Oh no! Oh,
she's she doesn't hate the show, but she's been critical of it. I think there's some degree there's a lot of sport to be critical of this show because it is making some obvious gaffes. But
yeah,
I think there's sport to be had when you say, okay, look, there's bits of it I didn't like. It's like Star Wars prequels. The Star Wars prequels, I didn't like everything about them, and there's obviously a lot of things that I would think they could have improved, but I do love those. I do love the Star Wars prequels. I'm unapologetic about how much I love the prequels. But I can obviously see the obvious problems with it. But then there are people who are just, when people start railing about like having, what was it, up to 1 million people wanting to rewrite this last season of Game of Thrones because they just didn't like it.
I probably can't comment on that because I haven't watched it.
I mean, you might.
I'm gonna be a wuss and cop out on that one.
Yeah, that's fine. I can see the flaws of this, but again, like I said, I'm not petty about it. I'm just like, all right, well, whatever. So going back to it, I just as a general overview, I was kind of a bit lukewarm about this episode in general. I'm glad I saw it, as in I'm glad it's finished. But I didn't think it definitely wasn't my favorite episode of this season. I think actually the last episode was actually a lot more impacting on me. And actually episode 3 I liked a lot. And to some degree, the things that I do love about Game of Thrones are the interactions between all the characters. So there was that little moment towards the end where they're all sitting around and just talking to each other at the table when Bran comes in. And it's like Tyrion and what's his name? Tyrion, Bronn.
Tyrion in the League of Minor Characters.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Tyrion and all the other characters, and just talking around. And I was like, that's kind of like what I liked about Game of Thrones. I could honestly just watch those guys just talk for an hour, right? That's kind of a lot of what I like about Game of Thrones is the interaction between the characters.
Yeah,
and I do think they kind of found a nice kind of balance this episode where we just saw people just talking to each other, and we obviously get reminded a lot of why we like a lot of these characters, except John, who's just an idiot through this whole episode. But yeah, so
he was a useful idiot.
He was a useful idiot. Somebody did this really funny cut from you remember Monty Python, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, Monty Python.
Not the first time it was through. I'm not that old, but hey.
But I'm specifically Holy Grail, and
yep.
Yeah, Holy Grail in that famous scene where they go to the castle wall, and he's confronting the French, and it's like, oh, I blow my fart in your general direction, right? That guy. Somebody cut that scene with Tyrion, talking to Cersei from the previous episode where he's standing at the wall talking to Cersei. I just thought it was great. Anyway, that was very much an aside to just say, yeah. I was just thinking useful idiot, and it just came to mind. Okay, yeah. So, were you shocked when Dany was killed? I mean, I don't know if it was a shock to anybody, but
you mean when you heard the sound?
When you heard the
you heard the sound of the knife going in and going, oh. Well, clearly she hasn't done that to him. So
this is the kiss of death.
Oh, going, oh, and then just waiting to see whether it's going to be fatal.
Yeah,
and it clearly was.
I actually was I thought he was going to do it, but I actually didn't think it was going to be that easy. I think that's what surprised me was just how easy it was.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you're right. Like just getting, Arya, jumps out of nowhere, kills the Night King like that. And I guess to some degree, it doesn't make any sense. Like, Dany can't fight. I remember mentioning this in the previous episode where, Jorah comes out of nowhere and saves her from all these whites. And she's picking up a sword and like, what's she going to do? But she can't defend it. She's like, she can't do. She's never been out. I've never seen her fight with a sword. Like, I don't even know what she's going to do. So I guess to some degree, Dany's kind of really defenseless without her dragons or the Unsullied, really.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, is like every, it's not like Cersei can fight either. So yeah, it was just interesting to just see how easily dispatched he was.
I guess Dany's. Clearly she has a brain.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she wouldn't have managed to get to where she was. But yeah, it was. I wrote that thing to you at the start, just before the episode aired. My predictions and stuff.
Yes, let me read out these predictions to you. All right, so
read the death ones first.
Grant's predictions. They melt the Iron Throne to slag and start representative democracy. Well, you were halfway there. That was a very eye-raising moment when Sam suggested democracy.
Oh well, hang on. That is representative democracy. It's the beginnings of it. With the Lords, if you think about democracy in Britain, the Houses of Parliament were members elected who were the landed gentry. Like, you had to own land. Sorry, no, you had to own land to be able to vote.
I see.
Not a lot of people owned land.
Right. So you think this was
This is definitely it's a representative democracy.
But they had that. Didn't they have that when they voted Jon Snow king in the North as well? Well, it sounded like they were trying to build a republic. That's what it sounded like. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's the beginnings of it. It's
yeah,
not.
Okay.
What Sam suggested is the full thing. But that would have been, if they'd gone there.
Yeah.
That would have been a leap too far. That would have just been, where did that come from? But what they did was, in fact, I guess if Sam saying his thing and them all laughing at it and then them taking a step back from that, made it plausible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. All right. Okay.
But bidding low or bidding high or something like that, and then coming back to what you actually wanted.
Yeah. All right. I'll give that one to you. And you did get it about you didn't know how they were going to burn it to slag. Although they didn't burn it to slag because, I don't think they burned it to slag obviously because of not democracy, but you definitely predicted it.
If you'd asked me how you're going to burn it to slag, then I think the dragon's the obvious thing, but I may not have said it.
That was interesting, right? Somebody on Twitter was saying like, "Wow, who would have known that Drogon was so woke to just melt down like power symbols, right after representative power symbols, right after his queen was killed." I just thought it was quite funny. It was interesting though. I was like, yeah, I don't know, but obviously it wasn't a artistic choice. I actually don't understand why Drogon didn't at least try and go for Jon, or at least be pissed off about the fact that his mum's dead.
Yeah, well, clearly he was ticked.
Yeah. He was upset, but he didn't even blow the fire in his direction.
Yeah. I guess, well, okay, go on to my next thing, because I'm pretty sure that the next thing was...
Well, you said Queen Dany.
Yeah.
That was your next thing, which she was for a hot minute. She was Queen Dany for a hot minute.
Yeah.
So it just didn't.
She never managed to sit down on it, though, did she?
No, she did. No, she didn't. She touched
it, but she didn't. Yeah.
King John. You know what? I actually thought John had a moment for a second. I actually didn't think they were going to pick Bran. That was such a left-wing choice. Sorry, left wing. I don't mean left wing as in the political field? Left field choice. Left wing. I've obviously listened to too many political podcasts. Left field choice. But yeah, I don't know. I actually thought that John had a good... It just seemed weird that Bran became the choice that they did. I don't have a massive problem with it, but it was just like, It was more like a kind of moment. King Tyrion, yeah, I never thought Tyrion was ever going to be king, but it's a good try. Most unsatisfying death, Dany falls off a dragon. How did you find Did you find it satisfying the way she went out though?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I had I have difficulties imagining killing women because that's not. I don't know. Probably it's a leftover from when I was 5 and I got told not to hit my sister.
But this is regicide we're talking about.
Hitting girls is bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't stop people hating on Cersei though. They wanted her to die.
Yes. Yeah. It's all well and good when you're not the person that has to do it. So it's if you're trying to put yourself in the protagonist's shoes, the person who has to do it, it becomes, I don't know, more difficult.
It was an impossible choice he had to make. Essentially, like I don't think anybody could have not known where she was headed. Like, she was basically going to go destroy the rest of the world. And put the rest of the world under her boot, which she could easily have done. Like, she basically is the only person in all of Westeros that has a dragon. Yeah. So there's nobody else who can come even close to, be able to compete with that. I mean, she single-handedly really took out all King's Landing by herself. I mean, she could have easily just taken everybody down that way.
I guess that dragons. If you want to go off into alternative realities, I guess Bran could have. How do you say that? Warged into the dragon while Dany was on it and turned upside down.
Yeah, but Bran's kind of... Yeah, so Bran...
That's not really his style, though.
Bran just kind of sits around. He was just waiting to take the throne, essentially, so... Yeah.
No, he didn't actually want it. So he wasn't waiting to take the throne.
So he says. He keeps saying that. But I don't know.
I don't know. Well, way his character is, he's kind of not really of this world anymore. He's, he claims he's about the past.
He checked out a long time ago. His penis doesn't work, as we found out in the episode. I thought it was so funny.
Well,
how does Sansa know he can't have kids? Like, that's just
how does that work? Because I know people who have spinal injuries who have had kids, so that's
there are paraplegics who can. You're right. There are paraplegics who have kids. I'm just saying, like, how do you know? Yeah. It's just, and it's not even through IVF. It's just they just naturally have kids. So I'm just saying, it's very presumptuous for Sansa to make that claim,
unless he fell on his nether regions, and there's nothing left, but.
I just can't imagine.
I don't think we should go there.
I just can't imagine Bran would have just leant over to his sister and like, "Hey, I'm not working." It's like, all right, cool. Thanks for telling me, bruh. I can't. Why? I just don't imagine they would have had that conversation at any point.
I don't think we've got the writing chops to be able to write that scene.
Hey, sis, I got a secret. Anyway. When I fell out the window. No, anyway, so it's just funny. That's all. I just thought it was just funny that they had to point that out. Like, they didn't even have to point that out, really. I know why they did. It was just kind of a weird thing to point out. All right, so let's see. Jon kills Dany. Drogon melts the throne cause reasons. Jon is in buried. Jon's in prison. Oh yeah, obviously the round table with we have. Not the round table, but like the council, which I thought was
so they had a jump in time there, a big one.
Which the fade to black we always knew was going to happen. Okay, so Drogon runs off with Dany. So Drogon's missing.
He went to the east.
They went east. They never came back. So Drogon just takes Dany and just runs off.
Yeah.
So how did they know?
This is like a kind of analogous world. He's off to China.
Yeah. It just escaped to China.
Dragons in China. Who would have thought?
Oh my goodness. Right, I see. That's why it's called Westeros. Oh, I see. No, I think I already knew that, but I didn't just blank that out.
I'm just being obvious here.
And that's why the Northerners are just, right, gotcha. I'm with you there. Maybe Westeros is flat Earth. Maybe.
No, don't go there. Don't go there. The comment section.
Hey, it could be. I mean, it could be like a Discworld, like a Terry Pratchett kind of world. All right, so yeah, okay, so Drogon disappears, right? And he takes Dany with him. So the only way Jon goes to prison is because he confessed that he killed Dany.
Actually, I was going to say, as Drogon flew away, I was thinking, oh, he could get away with this now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Dany's body's not there. Nobody can prove otherwise. They could be suspicious that Jon did something because he's covered in blood. There's a missing dagger. Yeah, there's a missing dagger and everything. But
I mean, supposedly there would have been a bodyguard, should have been a bodyguard somewhere nearby.
But like I said, nobody saw it. Nobody saw the crime except for Drogon. It's like not like Drogon's going to come back and like, hey, let me tell you what happened.
The dragon starts speaking in the last episode.
He starts talking like Batman. I've got a secret to tell you. Yeah, it's just Drogon's not going to tell nobody. So I don't understand. Like that's what I'm saying. Jon, being the idiot that he is, would have told everybody, hey, I killed...
Being incapable of lying.
I killed Dany.
Even by omission.
I kissed her, and then I put a knife in her. Oh, cool. Where's your proof? Yeah, so, it just was just interesting. Again...
I would say that if Drogon takes to the sky, everybody is going to look, and they're going to notice that he's got a blonde person in his claw.
Yeah, but nobody can verify that she's dead, and nobody can verify who killed her. Yeah. Arya could have killed her for all we know, but we just didn't see. Actually, I was surprised Arya didn't. Well, I'm not surprised. I actually was wondering if they used Arya to kill her. Would that have been a better that would have been a hard thing to weave into the story? Oh, and another side note too. Why? Knowing full well that Arya has the skills to pay the bills when it comes to killing people. Yeah. Why didn't they just send Arya to go kill Cersei in the first place? This is just she killed the Night King. I mean, just send your assassin to go kill Cersei. War is over. Oh, but then Dany still would have gone nuts anyway, right? So,
Yeah, that wasn't the story.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I just mean as in nobody considered that option. That's what I was wondering about. Anyway.
But then Arya becomes way overpowered and has far too much effect on the story.
But this
wouldn't be balanced.
Right. So this is where it doesn't seem balanced from you've only seen this season of Game of Thrones, but there's a whole season where Arya spends. Oh, where does she go? She goes to this place and she basically trains with the faceless men, like for a whole episode. And there's a whole.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Oh, Bravo. She goes to Bravos, right? So you've seen all that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like they build up this thing where she goes into Bravos being a little girl and comes out becoming this badass assassin, right? Yeah. And so, and we never see her. Oh, excuse me. Then we never see her use her faceless talents ever again. So that's what I'm saying. It leads up to a whole lot of things. It's like it's like going to Jedi school and then never pulling a lightsaber or using the Force ever again, which makes no sense. Well, that's not true. She does pull her Jedi sword. She just never uses the Force ever again. Yeah. So that's
as far as I'm concerned, the faceless taking other people's faces stuff must be magic because.
Oh yeah, it is. It's definitely magic.
I mean. She's a small girl. There's no way that she could impersonate a full-grown man and people not notice the size difference.
I don't know. Can you? I don't know. That's the thing. We never understood exactly how those powers work. She did impersonate people who were bigger than her.
Yeah.
But not a lot. Not like the size of the mountain, I guess, or the size of like...
Okay. Look, if your sister was sitting beside you, Nick, and someone was impersonating you that was a slight girl with your face on it... Do you think she'd notice the size difference?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Someone who knows you well.
I don't care what.
I just want the rules. House Frey, that sort of thing.
I just want the rules to be consistent. That's all it is. If you're going to use magic, just make the rules consistent.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that she can impersonate a whole bunch of people. She could have impersonated Dany. Well, I guess you. Okay, so my sister pointed out that this is my sister Michelle, by the way. Michelle was pointing out that you have to kill the person to impersonate them, or at least take that. That's the only way you can take their face.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there's no other way. you would have to kill. Yeah, you could have killed Dany, and then
She could have
impersonated.
killed She could have killed Dany, and then Jon would have come in and killed
Arya.
Arya.
Yeah, Arya. Yeah, it doesn't
Arya?
matter. Arya.
Okay,
We'll just say
I'm
real
not
quick
sure.
so nobody can figure it out. Arya.
Yeah, well, she was in disguise.
No, but then
That would have been a major downer.
and no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, Arya could have come in, killed Dany, taken her face, told the Unsullied, "Hey, we're gonna give up this whole crazy scheme. Everybody, just go back home." And they all go back home, and that's it.
Yep.
And then Arya is queen of the Iron Throne, and that's how we get. But she's impersonating Dany, and then she rips off her face, like Mission Impossible style, and it's Arya.
Yeah. I don't think that would have had the nice, happy conclusion that we had.
Better ending? No, not really. That would have been a terrible ending. Okay, so how did you feel about Bran being nominated to be the king?
Well, obviously, as representative, having guessed as my first guess as representative democracy, I was delighted. But specifically, Bran,
Yeah.
Considering that he seems to be a fairly, like he's a figurehead. He's very similar to what we've got in the fact that, like Queen Elizabeth II reigns, but she doesn't rule. I think that's how it works.
Right.
So what you've got there is Tyrion being the prime minister and a small cabinet,
Yeah.
and him going to the king and saying, "Are we doing okay?" And the king going, "Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You're not killing people in job lots. I think you're doing all right."
Yeah, I think he obviously has the advantage of seeing into the future. Oh my gosh. So
Oh, hang on. Can he see into the future or see into the past?
I think he can see into the future. Oh, that's a good point.
I think he can only see. He says, "I mainly live in the past." He can see into the past.
Actually, that's a good point. Can he see into the future? Somebody in the comments comment.
Ah, yes.
I
Those
had the
things.
impression that he could see through all time. That was my impression. But then I don't know.
That would make him pretty omnipresent.
But if the three-eyed raven could see the future, then why did he get killed? Oh, well, I guess he let himself get killed so he could get taken. Maybe he was just bored of his job.
So he could not spend the next 1,000 years inside a tree?
Yeah, basically. He was just like, I'm bored of this. When's the crippled kid going to come, get me out of here, basically?
Yeah. Oh, I've just thought of a large plot thing.
Yeah.
Where did the hole in the wall go?
What hole in the wall?
The northern wall, the big wall,
Yeah, they patched it up while they were at King's Landing.
It was a large full of snow and it was up again.
I am, again, I do not know. There's a lot of things. And then what are the Night Watch doing now anyway? They're going to be guarding the wall from what?
Yeah.
Because what is north of the wall there's no whites anymore. So they've taken care of that problem, unless they're like unless there's like, the white's brother somehow living up there in the north. He's like unmotivated.
You've got the free people, basically.
Yeah.
Or the wildlings.
The
depending on what
wildlings.
you want to call them.
Yeah, they're the wildlings.
But they call themselves the free people, don't they?
The free folk.
The free folk.
As Tormund likes to call themselves. The
Yeah.
free folk. Oh, I will say this. Yeah, it was interesting them seeing. It was a bit of a down. I will say it was a bit of a downer that Jon had to basically go back to where he started, which was becoming warden. Well, he's not even the warden. He just has to go back to being on the Night's Watch.
As punishments go, it's better than
dying.
Yeah.
Or staying in prison your whole life.
Yep.
Couldn't they have just? Yeah.
Well, hang on. And now he chose to go and take the black in the first place, didn't he? That was like season 1.
But that's when he was a bastard. That's when he thought he was.
You mean when he was unwanted? No one wanted him.
That's what he calls himself.
Well, no one wants him now.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just funny because don't look at me, I'm a bastard. Like, he just says that all the way through, like, the first couple of seasons. It's just because he's
Just
a
to make sure that you
yeah.
get the point.
Yeah. I'm not worthy, I'm a bastard. Yeah, he's very much, it's just funny saying it the way he says it. Yeah,
I'm from up north.
Sorry?
I'm from up north.
Yeah, basically. Hey, he goes back to being the Night's Watch again, which I thought it was a bit of a down. That's what I'm saying. Like I was like, I guess it's nice that he's still alive, but it's kind of a downer, I guess. And then Arya goes, and I know it depends on your point of view. I was hoping. I think I was just more hoping to see him hang out with sisters and stuff, but
I think Aya's in for there's left room for a movie or a spin-off series or
yeah, spin-off.
That was
Well,
the review that I read. It was
Yeah.
and leaving room for spin-offs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think everybody was thinking that. It's like, well, we've obviously opened up another can of worms here, haven't we?
We've got Arya Stark in the New World.
Arya Stark sails west of Westeros. The Arya Chronicles. Maybe it's a 5-part series of what she finds out west, and she just drops off the edge of the map, and that's the end of Arya.
Here there be dragons. No, the dragon went the other way, didn't it?
Yeah, he went east to China. No Chinese people in this show, by the way. Just putting that out there. No China.
I suppose if she goes west far enough, but
she'll go right round. Yeah, she'll probably end up east, right? She'll find out where Drogon went.
yeah, there you go. I'm definitely not a flat earther.
No, it's there was obviously a lot of that going on. Okay, so there was one part I was very happy with, and that was Ghost and Jon getting reunited.
You big softy, you.
Oh, look, I was complaining about this all previous episodes that we got no good doggo.
I thought that I was a big softy, but you've just taken the cake, man.
Yeah, no good doggo. Look, man, this dog's been with him like the whole time. And and he's been absolutely like blanked this whole season until now. I mean, in the previous episode, he gets sent the episode before that episode before, he got ghosted like properly. Like he doesn't even Ghost has basically gone through the wars after that episode with the Night King, and he's lost an ear, and he's like injured, and he's just in the corner. And Jon doesn't even bother to even go up and give him a pat in the head, go, good doggo. Not even that. He just goes, hang out with Tormund. You can just hang out with Tormund up north. Like I'm going down to King's Landing.
Yeah, that was. I didn't think that was very well done, or it could have been done better.
I didn't have to see him touch it. I just needed to know that it happened. Like they could have just put a prosthetic head in there and just put his hand through the fur. I didn't care. I just wanted to know that he still cared about his dog. That's all. I just wanted to know that Ghost was not getting ghosted. Oh, it was upsetting. The poor dog. I'm just saying.
It could have been done better, but then again, neither you nor I have the writing chops to make it happen better. So
I just wanted one scene. Just one scene. Nobody stood up for Ghost. That's what I'm saying. I do laugh at the fact that they were. I mean, like there was that one scene this episode this final episode where I loved was actually when Jon walks towards the castle, towards the Red Keep, and as he's walking upstairs, as he's walking towards the Red Keep, you see the snow like move, and it like Drogon's hiding under the snow. That was one of my favorite scenes. Yeah, not the ash. It was snow.
Was it snow or ash?
It was snow. Or maybe it was it's snow.
Oh, look, I watched it on my laptop, so I was
maybe you're right.
It was.
Why is ash still falling though?
Well, it was blowing around in the wind.
Maybe. I thought it was snow. No, it was.
From what I read about volcanoes and stuff, when ash goes off, the ash hangs around for a while.
Yeah, true. Maybe you're right.
Makes breathing hard. Your car doesn't work. Not a problem in Westeros, but hey,
you're right. Maybe it was ash. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was kind of cool anyway. And that one shot where Dany's walking up, everybody talks about this one shot where she lands earlier when she lands the first time in this episode, and the wings come out. That was a pretty dope shot too.
Yeah.
I was actually pretty impressed that Tyrion walked right up to Dany and said, I quit. You're a monster and I quit. Dany's like, You don't get to quit, you're fired.
Yeah. I think there's some people with a lot more cojones than myself, because apart from I don't think I would have been in that position to start with. I think I would have probably wanted to run away.
Yeah, no,
I bravely run away.
I would have just like, shut up, John's best. Shut up, dude. You're gonna get us all killed. Okay, so I was reading about. So the other question I had was, where is Jon going with the wildlings? I did read something about that actually. Somebody reckoned in this comicbook.com article said that he's going to start a new Night's Watch with the wildlings. but I don't know. They didn't really obviously specify what that is. Maybe that's another. Maybe they're all going in their own spin-off directions, right? There'll be Jon Snow and the Wildlings.
Yeah.
And
It's another story.
Yeah, and then Sansa, Queen of the North.
Yeah.
She's an independent state. She's now Scotland or Ireland or whatever it is. Which
Oh
one?
yes, what was someone? Oh gosh, I was reading. Someone who said, after all this, we've ended up with a monarchy similar to what Britain has when an independent Scotland. Ruled by
Pretty
a
much,
redhead.
yeah, right. But Scotland's not independent now, are they? No. They used to be.
They were.
Yeah.
They might be in the future.
Yeah.
Be careful. You might offend a whole bunch of people there, mate.
Oh, well, you know. Yeah, I didn't think Scotland was free. I thought they were still under British rule.
Do you know David Hodgson?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Dave Hodgie. Yeah, of course.
Hodgie.
Yeah. the most Scottish guy I know.
That we all know.
Yeah, that we all know.
Yes.
Yeah, he builds furniture for a living now, I see.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he's very good at it. Yeah, so I'm just trying to think. I'm just going through my loads here and just thinking. Oh yeah, Tormund and Jon reuniting was nice.
Yep.
I quite liked that moment. And oh yeah, and Brienne. Okay, so there's one scene that I knew straight away was just going to be the most memeable thing from this episode was Brienne writing Jaime's memoirs.
Yeah.
And somebody already wrote. Obviously, she was trying to, write the nicest thing she did. She's such a sweet
spin.
Yeah. Sorry?
She gave it the best spin possible.
Yeah. She's a sweetheart, though. She didn't deserve to get jilted the way that she did by bloody Jaime. Like, he doesn't deserve to be that, treated that nicely. But I guess he did do her a service a few times. Like, he did save her a couple of times. So I guess that warrants getting written down. But yeah. But somebody was writing something like in Twitter. Somebody did a meme about it in Twitter, like, Brienne writing like he was a crap lay. He had like a 3-inch penis or something, as in like the last thing that she wrote in the book. And I thought that was exactly that was the first thing I thought.
The hell hath no fury.
Yeah, like I just thought that was the first thing people were going to meme. Is just like the most awful thing you can write about Jaime. It's like. He slept with his sister or something like that, like just all these awful things you could write down about somebody.
I thought the whole, the book about A Song of Fire and Ice, I thought that was a bit naff.
Well, it was a bit like the end of Lord of the Rings, right? Where, they closed the book.
There and back again.
Yeah, there and back again. But then didn't he write, isn't The Hobbit basically a book about him, like Frodo, about Bilbo running and getting the ring and then coming back? I mean, as in, like, Bilbo writes that story from his point of view.
I think so. Yeah. But possibly it's become a bit of a trope.
Yeah. There and back again. A Game of Thrones story.
It was a bit of a dad joke.
Yeah. It was very nicely. I did think the illustration in the book was it was nice artistry there. I don't know how they do that stuff back then, but it was very nice. Laying in the gold leaf and the inking and all that kind
I
of
have
stuff.
A question for you. As an animator, what do you think of the introduction titles? Did you notice the changes in the introduction titles?
I haven't been all that up to it. I listen to other podcasts about Game of Thrones, and they always mention about how the titles keep changing. I've always been enamored with those titles, though. I always thought they were really cool.
Oh, so interesting because they change them just a little bit each time.
Yeah.
So the Red Keep was all in pieces. Well, there were big chunks out of it.
I didn't notice it this time. I'm always in the middle or something when the intro comes up. Like, I'm always not 100% paying attention. Like, I'm trying to get my lunch ready or something. But I did hear that in previous episodes that you saw the white where the whites were coming.
Yep.
It was they changed that on the map a couple of times, and then when the whites were finished, when the Night King went down, the tiles that were expanding stopped.
Yes.
So I thought that was
they're
good. Like
still
they
there.
do. Yeah.
There's this big thing of blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were. It's kind of like these nice little things, but they have done that from previous seasons. I have known that. I just didn't pay attention to it much this season.
Yeah. No, I loved how the Red Keep had big chunks out of the tower, and then they do that shot where you go down the spiral staircase.
Ah, okay.
And that still worked, but there was chunks out of the side of it.
Nice.
So it was it was a good touch.
Oh,
I
cool.
thought.
I'll have to check it out again.
Yeah.
I think this whole season probably deserves at least a second watch on some of the episodes for sure. I'd probably, yeah, actually, no, it was a good season. I think overall it was a pretty good, satisfying season. I don't know. I mean, obviously there are a couple of plot points that I would probably change, or maybe some of the characters could have done something slightly differently. But for the most part, I was kind of satisfied. I think with how everything ended up.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I would have. I can't understand. It's always hard. I think that people misunderstand that ending a TV show is always hard. I don't think it's ever, especially one as popular as this. There's only really been, historically, in my opinion, a few shows that have ended really well. I mean, look at Lost, for example. That show, to a lot of, it's just polarized so many people. And listening to Damon Lindelof talk about why they ended the show the way they did is just, for the most part, they just said they just wrote themselves in the corner and they couldn't solve it, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't. And Damon Lindelof actually said when he wrote the show Lost, they actually weren't expecting to get it past the first couple of episodes, but when they picked it up, they had to start answering questions they didn't have answers for, you know. So they didn't have. That was one of the things where they were the victim of their own success, and I feel like Game of Thrones is kind of in that same boat to some degree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on whether George R.R. Martin has. From what I've heard, he gave an outline of where things were going and where it was going to end up. So they couldn't write themselves into a corner if they knew where it was going to end up. Could they?
Oh, yes, they could. Now, this is where I think it gets a bit funny.
Right.
So you can easily get an outline for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can say, okay, this is where I want to go. This is where I'm hoping the characters are going to be. But I know for a fact that when you're a writer, not me personally, but I'm just saying like writers, as I've heard a lot of them talk about, you go in a direction and then you kind of realize, that doesn't really work. And they'll have to go back and basically restructure whole sections, take out characters, put in new ones, take out whole scenes and that kind of thing to kind of really get it down to what it needs to be. And the problem is that the writers for this show didn't have that luxury. I'm not saying they didn't have rewrites, but they didn't have the luxury of putting the script away for a few months and then coming back to it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is essentially
they had to do it in a hurry.
Yeah, and then even with the 2 years off, even with the whole year off to write the show, I just can't imagine they would have had enough time to actually write a script that would have felt as tight as they needed it to be. And like I said, I don't blame the writers. I find it like I just think they were tasked with the most impossible task to write something that would have been as succinct as the first 4 seasons or 5 seasons would have been, because you're basically 20 years of writing versus one year of writing. You're going to get what you're going to get, as you would understand. You know, you can't rush quality, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's just the victim of their own success. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who hate them for it, which is really sad.
So do you think season 8 was a pass mark?
Season 8 was fine. Like, season 8 was actually pretty good in terms of what it was as a spectacle show. And I think the things that we wanted to see this season, I think we got a lot of them. Like, the Hound versus the Mountain was something we all wanted to see. Clegane Bowl. We definitely wanted to see that. Arya dispatching the Night King, despite how easy it seemed, was still a pretty kick-ass scene. Yeah. And I did actually like aspects of that scene, the long night, where, they were just running through and I did like the whole Arya aspect of that whole show. And I loved how Arya ended up. I loved how the Hound said goodbye to Arya. Actually, all the Arya bits I did. I'm actually saying Arya a lot in this. Yeah, all the Arya bits were actually pretty solid. Even Sansa got a good arc towards the end of this season.
You'll have to go back and redo every time you say Arya and say Aya.
Aya. Is it Aya? Aya.
This podcast came out we recorded this podcast 5 days ago, folks.
Arya. Is it not Arya? It's
Aya, isn't
Aya?
it?
No.
Isn't there a Y in there?
Yeah, it is. It's Arya, right?
Hang on.
Arya. Yeah, it is Arya. Arya.
Arya. Arya. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I'll
I
call
could
it
be wrong.
Arya.
If I put it
I'll
wrong,
call it Arya.
I offer my humble apologies.
I was saying Bran's name like terribly before, so you're not alone in that regard. I'm probably saying I'm butchering. I butchered everybody's name. I was calling Melisandre, something else before. I forget what Melisandre. Yeah, Melisandre. I think that's her name.
Well, hang on. There's Melisande.
Missandei is Grey Worm.
Sorry,
Missandei
Missandei.
is Grey Worm's girlfriend, and Melisandre is the Red Woman.
The Red Priestess.
Yeah,
Which, depending on your opinion.
What do you mean?
She gets called various things by various people, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not calling her a witch because I don't like her. Yeah.
She's a witch. She's a witch. Well, she wears that necklace. She's like super old. She's been like...
Oh, yeah, I have to go back and watch that. So does she turn old when she takes the necklace off?
Yeah, so there's one episode, I think, it's season 6. I think it's the beginning of season 6, where she basically brings Jon back from the dead.
Yeah.
And I think it's revealed where she takes off her necklace and she reveals like herself being this super old lady.
Oh,
so
okay.
she's obviously held together by duct tape and magic. So
Yeah.
yeah, but she's not like a little bit older. She's like noticeably.
She's like a Rapunzel's mum sort of thing.
Yeah, she's like a crone essentially. So,
Right.
this withered old crone. Yeah, but yeah, Sansa got, at least I like that Sansa kind of got her good ending. It was
that's good because like the Six Kingdoms seems to have no theme. Oh no, it does. Brienne's there at the table, isn't she?
Yeah, Brienne's at the table.
They have a token female.
Token female at the table, which I thought was like, is Brienne supposed to be looking after Sansa? But I mean, whatevs.
Maybe she was released to. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I release you from your duty. Well, it doesn't take that much.
Yeah, we had to have a lady at the table. Come on, man, you got a woman as Queen of the North, and you had like the tyrant of the episode was also a woman too. There's lots of women in power. It's fine. We don't need to. They don't need to be in every aspect of power. So it was fine. I think we got the diversity targets nailed. So it's all good.
You mean we don't have the misogynistic fanboys just going, what?
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's equal opportunity. You have equal opportunity to be the hero or the villain, essentially, in this show. So, people were very pissed about Dany being as evil as she was. I think I heard that people had called their daughters Khaleesi, or they were naming their kids Khaleesi and Daenerys, yeah. And then suddenly this last episode, she's like turns into this evil tyrant.
Whoops, it's like no one's been, let's go back to God when no one's called that off anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Like, don't let the show finish before you name your kids anything.
Oops.
But then again, what are you gonna do? Yeah. So all right. So yeah, you kind of like this episode. You give Game of Thrones season 8 thumbs up.
Yeah. I mean, if I was to give it, out of 5 stars, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Go back and watch.
I haven't done, must-watch TV for ages.
Yeah.
It's like that thing that we used to do when we were young. And because, who watches free-to-air TV anymore? So, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it.
There is one free-to-air show that I'm currently watching, which is called Lego Master Builders, which is bloody brilliant.
I have heard of that, but I just sort of... haven't been watching free-to-air TV.
But I mean, but that's the only thing. I think you're right. I mean, who watches free-to-air TV anymore? I mean, I'll be honest. I'm probably going to get rid of my Foxtel subscription right after this episode. So.
Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me.
I only got it for this show. For the longest time, man, it was so hard to get for Game of Thrones. I couldn't it was just you had to wait for the whole season air because bloody Foxtel had the licensing stitched up. I mean, there were other ways, of course, but I'm just saying you couldn't you couldn't get it in Australia through the normal means. And I didn't pirate. I didn't pirate any of the episodes. I'm just letting everybody know. I did get them. I did pay for them. I just had to go through a VPN. So
I'm living for the day when the All Blacks ditch Uncle Rupert and I can just stream the All Blacks live from the New Zealand Rugby Union. Thank you very much.
Oh, did they tie it up?
Well, yeah, so Foxtel has the rights for rugby on TV in Australia.
That's annoying.
So yeah, so there's the same. So it's the same thing as Game of Thrones. So I'll be ditching my drama pack and just going back to sport.
Oh. Oh, can you do that? Can you just get rid of the drama pack and go get a sport pack instead?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
I feel like if I talk about this more, I'm just giving an advert for Uncle Rupert, and I don't really want to do that. There is a degree of self-loathing. I know that I'm making him richer, but I have this addiction.
Honestly, it was the smartest thing they did this season was to put it in the introductory price. Like, I don't think they would have made so much money from this last season too. At least even for a couple of months, they would have had this massive cash injection, and then there'll be a whole bunch of people who just won't go off because they're like, "Hey, this isn't so bad."
So do you have a box, or you just
No, I was just doing streaming. I was doing
same.
Foxtel Go. Is that what it was?
Foxtel Now?
Yeah, whatever that was. The $25 one. The cheapest one I could find. I was like, whatever, I'm not paying full price.
Yeah. So what was the introduction package that you got to?
It was like $25 for just and it just happened to have Game of Thrones in it. I actually was a bit skeptical at first. Like, are they actually giving us Game of Thrones of this at $25?
$50 for 2 months of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well, I actually thought they were going to pull the rug from under us, like, halfway through the season. All right, now you're going to pay for the drama package, an extra $20.
We're going to make it pay-per-view.
Yeah. There would have been a riot, man. I would have just like, screw this, guys. Yeah, exactly. Pay-per-view. Hey, I would have paid. I would have been happy to pay for the episodes per episode. On iTunes. It was just a pain in the ass that they just wait. You had to wait for the whole season to play out before you could watch anything.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't think I have actually watched any. I don't think I actually did watch any of the episodes live because I knew that I could stream it.
Yeah.
On demand. So
yeah. I didn't watch anything live. I just watched it as they got released. So I think it came out at 11 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah, there's that little thing called work.
Yeah. Oh, whatever, bro.
They get ticked if you're sitting there.
I got super lucky this season that it all aired on Monday, and I work at home on Mondays, so
right.
Yeah, so it all worked out very nicely for me.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh well. Yeah. So Game of Thrones will probably go down as one of the greatest and worst shows I think ever created in history. I don't know. Like,
it will be worse.
It's worst in the sense that I think there's going to be a lot of people who didn't think it finished well. I can understand. It's not as far as
it's going to polarize people.
As far as season finales go, as far as final seasons go, I still think it's quite strong for a final season.
I think so.
Because I definitely know that some of these shows can just go completely off the rails and just lose every, be completely incoherent. But I think they've tried their hardest to kind of stick to as close to the plot as they could, despite some of the weak elements that I pointed out.
So if it was a 5-star show, you think it might have just dipped to be a 4-star show at the end, or a 4.5-star show in the last season or two?
Like season 1 to 5 is a 5-star show. Season 6 to 7 is 6 to 7 to me is a 3-star show. But the season 8, I reckon, is at least a 4.
Okay.
It just, the writing is what let this season down, but everything else is just absolutely gorgeous.
You think they had moments of greatness? And
no. There was stuff in this season that we have never seen in previous seasons ever. Like the amount of stuff that they did, like the second last episode, episode 5, The Bells, was a spectacle. Like, there's nothing like that committed to TV anywhere in the world. Like, no one, I don't even think the film is committed as graphic or as, realized as they did. That was just an amazing episode. There were just moments of cinematic gold in that whole episode. Like, there was one particular shot I remember seeing. Like, every shot where Arya is on the ground and you're seeing everything from her point of view is just magic.
Yep.
It's very Saving Private Ryan. You're just right in the trenches with the dragon flying overhead. It's just, you're feeling every moment with her.
Yep.
And that, to me, that was just one of the most beautifully directed episodes I think I've seen ever. Like, and not just on TV, but I just mean in general. It was just a great, great piece of cinema. So, like I said, it's one of those things where it's so much artistry and craftsmanship, And acting even this season was actually on par too. I thought everybody acted their asses off this season.
Yep.
But again, like there are some. The complaints are always going to be with the plot, so which a lot of those things do come. It's hard not to acknowledge them. I'm not going to say that they're not there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I did have a whinge about the wild Dothraki charge into oblivion.
Yeah. But a lot of them survived, as we found out this episode.
So it seems.
We had a backup.
Where are all these soldiers coming from?
There was a backup.
I thought they're all dead. They're breeding eunuchs somehow.
Yes, somehow. Oh, there was a lot of dudes out there. I'm like, wow, she had a lot of guys. So yeah, we're all good. Anyway, man, I've final thoughts before we kind of wrap it up, I guess.
Well, final thoughts. Okay, yep, I loved it. I was pretty happy with how pretty much all the characters ended up in the final episode. So I'm pretty much delighted. There was only a couple of little nitpicky things which didn't ruin it for me. So yeah, I'm thrilled.
Now, will this encourage you
well
to
satisfied?
Will this encourage you to go back and watch any of the previous seasons?
Ooh, you mean have to pay Uncle Rupert for the privilege? Ooh, gosh, I'm at war with myself now.
Can you? No, you'd be able to get it. I'm sure you'd be able to get some. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you mean like buy a DVD set or something?
Yeah, basically buy box sets. Watch them with your kids. They'll love it.
Oh.
How old are you?
No.
How old's your oldest?
She's about to be 14.
Oh, yeah, that might be a bit too young for her.
Yeah.
She probably wouldn't be much of a Game of Thrones fan. Too much. It's like, what's going on? Why? Hang on, brother and sister. Yeah, what is it? They have to explain incest to her. That'd be bad.
I think I've got a few other things that I'd like to watch with. Yeah.
Not for kids.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of difficult topics you'd have to try and explain in the first episode. My goodness.
Yeah. I've got a 10-year-old which I can't take to Endgame.
Why?
Because his mother and I are having a disagreement about whether he's ready for it. So
fair enough.
When that happens, we default to the safest option. So
yeah, that's fair. It is a. Did he see Infinity War?
Yes, he has.
Okay.
I think. No, actually, I'm possibly not being fair on his mum.
Do you want me to cut this part out?
How in trouble am I now?
I'll cut it a bit later.
No, it's okay. I think if he sees it not on in a cinema, I think it's going to have slightly less. Like it's a fairly emotional journey. Endgame. We could go for another hour on this, but
it is harrowing. No, it is. I mean, I remember saying that the first 20 minutes of that movie is essentially a rapture movie. It's the most realized version of the rapture I've seen in a movie. In terms of this is exactly what would happen, or how you
mean a rapture movie which wasn't cringeworthy?
Yep, that wasn't directed by James. What's his name?
James Cameron.
Not James Cameron. Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron. Yes.
Yeah.
No. One of those is a good director.
No, but I mean, it was. Yeah, it felt. It was good. It was real somber tone, and everybody's just trying to get on with their lives and stuff. I thought it was quite. Yeah, it was quite good. Yeah. I don't know. It's the first 20 minutes is hard, I think, but the last 2.5 hours is pretty light, I reckon. But yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I know exactly what you mean. I know some. I've got a friend's kid who, he's not ready to see he's not ready to see Endgame, or Infinity War for that matter. So
yeah. Look, and in fact, in the same way that in the Endgame lands and you get to spend time with the remaining characters, and you get to say goodbye to them. Like they put a real. I mean, obviously they're going to make more movies, but there's a real full stop there. And they give you some time just to linger at the end with the remaining people, and I just absolutely love that how in this episode of Game of Thrones that they did
exactly the same thing. You're right. They said they didn't do the greatest hits thing where they start going Spoilers if you haven't seen Endgame. I don't know why you would listen to this if you actually. I didn't warn you that there was no Endgame. But honestly, it's been out for like a month. If you haven't seen Endgame, you're not going to see Endgame. And at this point, if you haven't been spoiled by it, I don't know what you're doing here.
Unless you're 10 years old and your dad's called Grant.
Well, he shouldn't be watching this movie. He can wait till later.
He's not going to watch this podcast or listen to this podcast.
Yeah, so he'll be fine.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But yeah, it's just, it was I have definitely noticed the similarities between Game of Thrones and Endgame, especially with how they're kind of especially how they wrapped everything up. So yeah, it's fascinating.
They tucked it up and put it to bed. It was nice.
Did you like Endgame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'll just put it this way. I really, after I saw Infinity War, I wanted to go see it again, like straight away. But with Endgame, I'm not rushing to go back and see this movie.
Yes, I have only seen it once.
So I don't know what it is. I don't know if I still feel that I trust my gut. I don't think the fact that I haven't gone back to see it again makes me think that maybe I didn't enjoy the movie that much. I probably enjoyed it because it ended. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I just found it such an emotional trip that I didn't want to go through the trauma again. It was too good and too bad.
Yeah. Maybe that could be what it is as well. But John Wick 3, on the other hand, well,
I haven't seen.
I will be going to see that again at some point. I know. It's funny because I had a friend, Nick Chislett, actually was saying he didn't like it. And I was like, oh. But then again, I don't know. It's kind of hard. My expectation for these movies too, for John Wick, is not that high. I guess I know that's kind of not. I'm not being mean. I just mean as in I'm not expecting it to be. I don't know. Well, I'm not expecting it to be Game of Thrones. I'm expecting it to be John Wick. You know what I mean? Like there's sort of a threshold it's going to reach.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of drama. It's going to be, as long as I get the things that I want, which is John Wick killing people, I'm pretty happy. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different genre.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going in there for directing or drama. I mean, yeah, I'm not going in there for like the witty dialogue. You know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, it's unlikely that you're going to, in a John Wick movie, you're going to love John Wick. Something bad's going to happen to someone or something that he loves.
Yeah.
And then he's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the recipe for that, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And they really go pro dog in this movie. I'm just saying, if there's like an underlying current, if for whatever reason they're pushing some sort of agenda, it is that you should be loving your dog. Is the essentially the undertow of this whole 3 movies so far, is that dogs are awesome and you should love them.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have a dog though, do you?
I don't have a dog, but if I did, either. you should love it.
If we had a dog, we'd love it like that.
Yeah. Always. You'd kill over your dog, is what they're trying to say.
Oh, gosh. Becoming violent killers. We're imagining killing women and going nuts over our dogs.
Yeah, I didn't imagine killing anybody. I'm just saying if anybody was going to kill anybody, it was going to be John killing. Well, actually, I don't know. I actually didn't think John was going to do it. I actually thought he was going to pike out, but I thought he was going to pussy out.
Is that not something that you do? You put yourself... Because I feel like I put myself in the... Well, I try and put myself in the character's shoes and go, what would I do in this situation?
Yeah. No, obviously, when you write stuff, you always have to put yourself in that situation because you think, okay, how would I write this situation, right? I actually just didn't think it was going to be. I just didn't think it was going to be John. I just thought it was going to be something else. Like I just thought it was going to be something external that came in that got rid of her, or there was some political intrigue. I just thought it was going to be something that they had planted earlier in the season that got rid of her, which is very Game of Thronesy.
Yeah.
Whereas there was a consequence or something that you think wasn't significant, but becomes very significant, obviously, when they take your life. So
yeah. I mean, I think the reason I chose tongue in cheek, Dany falls off the dragon as the way she died. As my prediction for her dying was probably just a bit of a cop out, and the fact that I didn't. I feel squeamish about sticking the pointy end in women.
Yeah.
Of the sword. So yeah.
I definitely thought Arya was gonna. Well, I definitely thought Arya. Well, that's the thing. Like, that was the fair trade-off. Like, Arya sticks it to her. Then we have, like, girl-on-girl violence. It's fine.
Oh gosh.
So fine.
Oh dear.
But Arya's been going around murdering people for a while now. So
There's Arya the psychopath and Danny the war criminal, and what is it? Someone was saying that of all the war crimes that have been committed in Game of Thrones, someone made a list for fun, or possibly it was Amnesty International, or someone made a list about all the war crimes that have been committed in Game of Thrones, and Danny was, I think, second on the list.
Who was number one?
I don't know.
Her dad?
Presumably, what's the guy with the flayed skin?
Ramsay?
Yeah.
No, not even close. He killed people, but he didn't kill that many people.
Right.
Like, he didn't have a dragon. That's what I'm just saying. No, the only other person I think would have been Danny's dad, which was the Mad King and the first Mad King. But I mean, we didn't see him on screen do it. We just heard about what he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, they even say this. They even say it in this episode where they talk about how they said if they stack all the bodies of Cersei and Tywin or whoever was leading, or Robert Baratheon,
yes,
it's like it's not even close to what Dany's
done.
Well,
like if there's 1 million people in King's Landing and she's burnt most of them, it seems.
Yeah,
that's getting pretty up there.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
That's pretty evil.
That's what happens when. This is what happens when you don't sleep with your girlfriend. I'm just letting you know when she asks for it. This is what happens. This is what happens, Grant.
Don't you need a girlfriend for that to happen?
John, well, she was asking for it. Like, she was like, she asked him twice. Like, he said no to her twice.
Yeah.
So, she was just pissed. Like, she was just like, yeah, you know what? She was on the dragon in episode 5, and she was looking out over there, and it's like, oh, John didn't even want to, give me a kiss. And she's like, screw it, I'm going to burn everybody.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Just don't piss off your girlfriend if she's asking.
When the day comes.
If she wants a kiss, just give her the kiss. That's what I'm saying. All right, man. Well, on that note, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Grant, for joining us. And
thanks, Nick, for inviting me.
It's been great reviewing each and every one of these episodes, and I hope you guys have been enjoying listening to this. I don't know what show I'm going to tackle next. There's a couple of good TV shows coming up. I heard Westworld is coming back, so that might be an interesting show to come. But I haven't seen the second season of Westworld, so I don't know if I'm really interested in that show. But we'll see. We'll see what comes next. But there'll be lots of stuff to review next. But until next time, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.